Back for an off day and back for some Cape Cod baseball. Firebirds take on Harwich. Last time that Orleans will travel to Whitehouse Field here in the center of the town of Harwich. Dylan Pescatore, Ian Nicholas on the Birds Broadcast Network. Game number 25 of a season that's just flying by for the Firebirds. They take on Harwich for the 5th time this season. Not a lot of luck, not a lot of success against these Mariners, Ian. But how can they flip the switch? How can they get a win right here tonight against a team that's reeling in the Mariners?
They need to take advantage of opportunities, just like the opportunities that Brewster afforded them on Tuesday on the road from Stony Brook. I know you're not going to walk into every single game being hit by pitch 5 or 6 times and then getting another 5 or 6 walks. I understand that's a bit of an anomaly, and the Whitecaps pitching staff struggled on Tuesday. But I really like how Orleans was able to take its walks, take pitches, pass the baton, and then come up with the big hits. And then sometimes just the big run-scoring plays. I mean, I look at a performance like James Madison's Fenwick Trimble, Dylan. He drove in 3 runs. He didn't have a hit. I mean, this team has been looking for ways to manufacture runs with guys in scoring position, whether it's a sac fly, an RBI ground out, just doing a job. These guys believe in each other, they're playing for each other, and now the results are starting to speak like the culture that's in the clubhouse for Kelly Nicholson's team.
Harwich's starting pitcher tonight, Tom Shumaleski, not an easy name to pronounce, and it won't be easy to score many runs off him. A 2 ERA here in Harwich in 4 starts. This is his 5th start. And Shumaleski is not going to be like the Brewster staff that was giving up walks left and right. He is one of the best starting pitchers, not only on the Mariners team, but in the league total. And the Firebirds have their work cut out for him tonight.
He's one of the best starters in the league, and it's kind of crazy that Orleans is 0-4 this season against Harwich, and he hasn't started in any one of those games. A big lefty from Princeton, and I was talking to the Brewster broadcasters, who we know pretty well, and he made his last start against the Whitecaps in a game that, beating up on the bullpen, the Whitecaps were able to win. He said that he cost Jamie Shevchek's crew $1,000 because of broken bats. What does that mean? It means he throws high and tight into the arm side of batters. He's going to jam a lot of guys up. He's got great pitch location, and he hasn't given up more than 2 earned runs in any of his 4 starts this summer, and all of them have gone at least 5 innings. He might provide Kelly Nicholson with a big bill at the end of the night with a lot of broken bats in this wood bat league. And he's probably going to rack up a lot of Ks in the process, 15 of them through 22 innings on the mound.
A guy from Princeton, he's not going to overpower you with his velocity. But on the other side, starting pitcher tonight for Orleans, Ivan Romero out of U of San Diego. Sammy has more on him.
Thanks, Dylan. Throughout this season, we've seen a lot of different arms on the mound for the Firebirds, with some leaving for the draft, some coming in, some switching between reliever and starter. And one of the newer faces on the bump today is USD's Ivan Romero. His Firebirds debut was a short stint against Cotuit, but today he'll be starting things off for Orleans on the mound. This isn't his first time on the Cape, though, starting. He was with the Whitey Red Sox last season and was a CCBL All-Star. Ivan told me that even though he knows he's coming in pretty late into this season, he still wants to try everything in his power to make the All-Star team again, and that campaign starts today for the USD product. He's looking to make a big impact for this team and help the Firebirds make a run in July. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Sammy. All-Star game coming up very, very soon. Next Saturday is the day the names come out, I believe, this Saturday. So Ivan Romero's got to come out with his best stuff tonight, and Ian, the Firebirds could sure use it.
He is a very good pitcher, and I know he had a bit of a shaky season with San Diego in the spring as a junior, and also over 45 days off between the end of his junior season with San Diego and that appearance that he had against Cotuit on Sunday, in which he gave up 3 earned runs out of a bullpen in just under 2 innings pitched against the Cavaliers. But first of all, not only did he not pitch in 45 days heading into that game, but he was rushed into the game out of a bullpen. Dylan Jacobs suffered a nasty leg injury on a comebacker from the plate, and he was rushed out of a bullpen and put in a tough spot. But he was a Cape League All-Star for a reason last year. During his sophomore season with the University of San Diego, a 2.5 ERA, 44 strikeouts, a couple saves, and 46 innings pitched. Had a little bit over a 6 ERA in the spring. He can bounce back and prove that he is a legit summer ball pitcher, prove he's a legit starting pitcher with a big performance tonight against a Harwich offense that has scored just 3 runs in its last 2 games.
3 runs in its last 2 games. However, they've scored a lot of runs against the Firebirds this year. 29 runs in 4 games. If my math works out, that's over 7 a game. Just 6 runs scored by the Firebirds. So the math is all right, but overall the Firebirds' offense performances against Harwich have not been.
No, and I can just look at last game, which was only 6 days ago against Harwich here from Whitehouse Field. He ran into a brick wall in Josh Bostic, who is an absolutely unbelievable pitcher at the JUCO level. Was committed to play at UT Arlington next spring, but was also getting serious draft buzz and ended up getting drafted over the weekend in the 8th round by the San Francisco Giants. Sometimes these guys are just too nasty. The guy was throwing 95, 97 miles an hour. His off speed was working for him. He was a man on the mound. He commanded the zone, and he worked through batters quickly with 7 strikeouts in 6 innings. So I understand that was just one of the 4 games for Orleans. I know that Harwich beat down on them in those early season matchups. They've been quicker pitcher duels over the last 2. But I think you can be confident tonight that, well-rested, this Orleans group has a little bit more momentum headed into this game than Harwich, and the bats 1 through 9 are going to start to come alive. I really like the bottom 5 in the order today for Orleans. It's a well-constructed lineup for Kelly Nicholson.
Give me a name in the bottom 5 who you're really looking out for in this team, then.
All right, well, if we want to bring the little pick-the-click segment back.
Bring it back.
I like Eddie Micheletti today. You know, I know he's not like somebody who would stun you because he's been in a lineup all season long, but he was a temporary player headed into the season who's performed well this year for Kelly Nicholson's team, and they've decided to bring him back on a full-time contract. And he just committed to play the next 2 years of his collegiate career, if he doesn't draft it after next season, with Virginia Tech. That is an awesome program at the ACC. He's going to be able to show his stuff at the Power 5 level. Eddie Micheletti, I know he's been a little cold as of late compared to the strong start to the season, but there are a few things that he is always bringing to the table. He commands the strike zone well, and he hits the ball hard. I think tonight he can find 1 or 2. He's had already 4 hits through 4 games against his Harwich team this season. Give me Eddie Micheletti to click tonight.
So Eddie Micheletti is Ian's pick to click. He'll be playing left field. Let's go over the Orleans Firebirds order, but before we get to there, got to go to, of course, our pregame interview. I spoke with Evan Truitt, who came in relief last game against Brewster through 2 2/3 innings, out of the bullpen for the first time today. Let's hear from Evan.
Thanks, Ian. Dylan Pescatore here with Evan Truitt, right-handed pitcher for the Firebirds. Evan, first time out of the bullpen against Brewster last game. How did you feel, number one, getting that call? And then you were pretty good out there as well, getting 8 outs.
It's something I'm pretty comfortable with. I do it at school. So it really wasn't that big of an adjustment for me. So I just kind of stuck to the routine I had at school and then just went and attacked hitters.
First 4 starts this year. You had a shaky one at Wareham, but the last 3 have been really good. And it's kind of been notified that you don't walk a lot of guys. Is that something that you really pride yourself on?
Yeah, definitely. I like to keep the walks down and try to have more strikeouts than walks is kind of what I tell myself. And when I find myself walking guys, that's when I get into trouble. Like you said at Wareham, I walked quite a few guys. But the last few, just trying to keep it down, it's been much better.
You've been one of the most reliable starters on this team as well. When you talk about coming out of the bullpen and now with the rotation kind of in shambles, guys leaving, guys coming in, how do you see this pitching rotation for the Firebirds continue on with their dominance in the last few weeks of the season?
Just going to have to stick to throwing strikes, I think, will be the most important thing. I think the guys we have coming in will do that for us, so just trying to lead the charge and just trust the bullpen and we'll get outs behind us.
How much confidence have you gained facing the top of the top every night and having good performances as well here in Somerville?
Oh, a ton. I mean, definitely going to school, smaller school, so we face bigger schools normally out of conference, so when we go face them this year, I'll be pretty confident to go against them.
And how do you feel in terms of strategically fastball, your different pitches and types, and what's really working for you on the mound that has led to success so far this summer?
Something I didn't use a lot at school is my 2-seam. It's kind of like a sinker more so, and I've used it a lot more up here. And I've seen that these good hitters have struggled against it for the most part, so I've thrown that a lot more. And then just kind of keeping off balance with the slider too.
Last question for you. I've noticed that a lot of times maybe if they get a home run off you, give up a few runs, you go right back at it. You wipe that away really quickly and you don't let that affect you. Is that something that you also pride yourself on?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not something you want to really pride yourself on is letting up home runs, but I let up a few at school, so it's not that big of a deal, especially if it's a solo shot. Solo shots, we talk about at school, rarely beat you solo shots, so just trying to keep just going after them.
Awesome. That's Evan Truitt. Back to you.
About 5 minutes the first pitch. That was Evan Truitt. talking about his first time coming out of the bullpen, his summer so far, and how things have been really working for him here in the Cape on Orleans. He's another one of those players who was a temporary coming in to this year. He has now been signed to a full-time, full-term contract for the rest of the season. 19 more games after today for the Firebirds. A few doubleheaders because of the fog, the rain. It's been an interesting year to say the least. But Ian, as we sit here, game 25 coming up. Who is in the starting lineup for the Orleans Firebirds?
Starting lineup for the Orleans Firebirds tonight. Very solidified lineup at this point, Dylan, like you said, because there's been so much commotion. The draft is done, and now this is the lineup that you can expect to be very similar the rest of the year. Joe Yama leads off. He's batting first and playing at second. Justin Rubin's batting second. He's DHing. Jack Penny's batting third. He's playing at third. Matt Hallback's at batting fourth. He's playing at first. Eddie Micheletti Jr. of Virginia Tech Hokie now is playing in left field. Fenwick Trimble is batting sixth. He's in right field. Owen Carpelati behind the dish. He's batting seventh. Eddie King Jr. He's in center field batting eighth. Rounding out the order for the Orleans Firebirds tonight is Drew Farreau at shortstop.
That's the starting nine for the Birds. They look to break a 4-game losing streak to these Harwich Mariners that have kind of taken a little bit of a downfall the last week or so. They have played 3 more games than the Firebirds. They sit at 13 wins and 14 losses. This is game number 28 for them. And they lost to Katuitt last night, a 6-1 loss. They played 3 more games than the Birds, and they sit just 4 points up in the standings. This is a big game when it comes to the standings, Ian, for both teams.
It is. And good news for Harwich is they're at home playing this game. I mean, obviously, Orleans is only 2 games back of Harwich for second place in the division. But you look at the record of this Mariners team, 13 and 14 on the year, but only 3 and 7 in their last 10. This is a much better team at home. 9 and 4 at home this year. 4 and 10 on the road. Now, I know it's summer ball, and I know these guys haven't been born and raised here on the Cape, and they might like Whitehouse Field. They might not be in love with it like I am, but that means something. They are playing better at home. So in order to get their season back on track, they're going to need to pick up another win tonight against Orleans, get back to 500, pick up win number 10 at home from Whitehouse Field.
Players getting announced on the field here at Whitehouse Field. A gorgeous day. A little bit hot, but how can you complain when we've had to deal with rain, fog, and all the above when it comes to the weather? We'll head to break for the anthem. Firebirds Mariners first pitch coming up in just a few minutes, so stay tuned on the Birds Broadcast Network.
To be sung tonight by Margaret Dixon, the Orleans Firebirds photographer, and Brewster native.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the lands of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Margaret.
Back here on the Birds Broadcast Network, anthem done. Kids running off the field after they ran on with each of the infielders. So let's go over the Harwich defense. Of course, doing the pitching is Tom Chmielewski from Princeton, Massachusetts native, from Needham, Southwest Boston. In terms of their defense, left to right in the outfield, Saki, Camarillo, and Obi in the outfield from third to first. Guerra, Rivera, Humphrey, Carrier. Behind the dish is Brian Arndt. And as I said, Chmielewski is doing the pitching from the left side today. So first pitch about to take. And what happened? I mean, we had a dog throw a first pitch a few days ago, Ian. We've had everything.
You can't top that. And, you said throw the first pitch. The dog didn't actually get up on its hind legs and throw towards home plate, but it did take the commands of its owner and race over to the dish and drop the ball off. Tonight, just a couple of kids and 3 Harwich Mariners doing the catching. But that's the thing about the Cape Cod Baseball League. It's fun, it's rooted in tradition, and it's always changing here in year number 100. So they always find a cool way to get the game going.
Oyama, Rubin, and Penny are the first 3 in the order for the Firebirds, who are wearing their black vests, white lettering around the chest, and a red undershirt. Oyama about to get ready to get into the box against Chmielewski, the lefty out of Princeton. Had really good numbers this year. After 2 years there, a 3.4 ERA in this past year, an All-Ivy first-teamer in 76 2/3 innings. Like I said, 3.4 ERA. He was really dominant. And a player on the Firebirds who I asked that has seen him in person and in his college level was Sean Matson, of course, from Harvard, in the same Ivy League. Chmielewski pitched 2 times against Harvard, and as Sean said to me, he dominated in both. Funny enough, Ian, the opposing starting pitcher in those games was Chris Clark.
Congratulations to Chris. He started this season with Orleans, left pretty early, knowing he was going to get drafted fairly high into the MLB. And then also last year was a part of the Firebirds and was drafted in the 5th round by the Los Angeles Angels. But Chmielewski, he's also got major league stuff as well. A fastball that during this past season with the Tigers clocked up to as high as 94 miles an hour. He also has a pair of breaking ball offerings. A bit of a loopy downer curveball. That's not my words. Those are professionals that call it that. At 74 to 75, that's a big drop from that 94 mile an hour fastball, and then a bit of a tighter slider that clocks in the high 70s, low 80s. So 3 pitches and a fastball that can ring up to the mid 90s for the Tiger.
So the man who's throwing from the left side, and Harwich is wearing just incredible uniforms tonight. Could be the best combo in the league. It's a tan / a beige.
No, it's
maybe
beige.
A cream. I'd say maybe a cream.
I would say it's a cream-colored jersey.
Cream-colored jersey with blue lettering across the chest. Their number as well, and then blue socks. All players tonight for Harwich going with the stirrups up to the bottom of their knees. Joe Oyama takes his first step into the box, and he's had some type of week for these Firebirds, including triples in back-to-back games. First pitch of the night is bunted foul from Oyama to get us started here at 6:34 from Whitehouse Field in Harwich.
Oyama's got some extra base hits this season against the Mariners. 3 for 7 from the plate with a double and a triple. League-leading 5 triples on the year for the UC Irvine man, Joe Oyama.
It feels like we're the only ones petitioning for him to be in the MVP race. The 0-1 from Chmielewski is on the ground to second. Nice play by Humphrey. Throws across his body with the scoop and the out. Jacob Humphrey goes towards second base on the backhand, throws across his body, and gets the scoop from Carrier at first base for the first out of the game.
It's funny because a lot of Joe Oyama's outs this season have been ground outs towards second. But he always puts the ball in play, never strikes out. And as I've said all season long, that's when good things happen.
Justin Rubin from the right side takes the ball away for ball 1. Rubin has played 5 games as a Firebird. Came in a little bit late, of course, originally from University of Virginia, and went on a long playoff run into the Super Regionals. The 1-0 is outside. 2-0 now, 1 out. Base is empty. We just got started here in Harwich. Firebirds taking their first at-bat in the top of the first. Rubin up 2-0 in the count. Lefty Chmielewski kicks and deals. It's low on the off-speed pitch. 3-0 to Rubin. and he has hits in each of his 5 games, does Ruben. He's transferring to Pepperdine in the fall.
Chmielewski's only handed out 5 walks in 22 innings this summer, a ball away from number 6.
He kicks and deals, fires a strike. The walk will have to wait for now. Ruben has looked like a different man coming in to Orleans this summer. He's put some good contact on a lot of the pitches he swung on. 3-1 is fouled away toward the Harwich dugout. The Mariners on the third base side and Firebirds on the first base side. A huge backstop here at Whitehouse Field. Could be the biggest in the league.
Yeah, it was a tough sophomore season for Ruben. Hit under 200, but also deal with some injury problems.
The full count pitch is over the second baseman Humphrey's head and into right field. It dunks down for a single. Ruben goes the opposite way on the full count pitch and gets the first base runner of the day for the Firebirds.
He's going to show his potential this summer and somebody who can tear it up in the WCC with the Pepperdine Waves. He hit 190 with Virginia in the spring, but he broke his foot in his last run of summer ball a year ago, and I think that kind of hurt his standing with a loaded team. And now he's got the opportunity to show what he can do for a different team on the West Coast, here on the East Coast this summer.
Been playing really well. That's now 6 hits in 6 games for Ruben. He's off first. The first pitch to Jack Penny is into right field on the ground for a base hit. Ruben will stop at second. A single for Penny as it got past Anderson at first base. The ball wasn't hit particularly hard, but in the right spot. Firebirds are set up with 2 hits back-to-back. Ruben on second, Penny on first. Matt Hallback is the batter.
That's a big hit for Penny. He's had some good at-bats over these last 7 games, but only 3 for 28 in his last 7 headed into tonight. Did have a sac fly on Tuesday against Brewster, and another good start to this game here at Harwich.
Matt Hallback, another big game against Brewster last time out. Takes a first pitch ball low and outside from Chmielewski. 2 runners on here in the top of the first for the Firebirds. They look to grab a lead here early against a team that's owned them all season. Chmielewski looks back at second, now fires to the plate, 2-0 to Hallback. He's consistently falling behind in counts.
You can't have that happen, especially when you're known as a pitcher who does not allow a lot of traffic along the base paths and who's got good stuff, but when the breaking balls aren't landing, now you're going to have to start to rely on the fastball.
2-0 is a fastball. Hallback pulls it foul, third base side. Runs the count to 2-1. A Firebirds team that was off yesterday, only one of 2 teams that were off. There were still 4 games, and including Harwich. They lost 6-1 right here at home to Katuitt, who never loses.
Back-to-back losses, not good ones for Harwich against the 2 best teams in the East and West.
YD and then Katuitt. The 2-1 Hallback, off speed, in for a strike. Umpires tonight, David Martinez at home plate, Anthony Brunetti at first, and John Budka at third.
There's that big curveball dropped in the upper third, tough to read.
2-2, swing and a miss. Hallback chases the curveball in the dirt, gets him out in front for out number 2.
That's a pitch that I think the first time around the order is going to fool potentially a few Firebirds. It's got a lot of movement, especially north to south. But if it doesn't land in the zone, as Chmielewski's now up to 9 strikes on 14 pitches, I'd advise they lay off it.
Here's Ian's pick to collect. Eddie Micheletti Jr. swinging first pitch on the ground to second. Rivera is up with it, throws to first for the out. The Firebirds get 2 hits with 1 out. They leave 2 on in the top of the first. Still scoreless here from Whitehouse Field in Harwich as we go to the bottom of the first on the Birds Broadcast Network. Back here on the Birds Broadcast Network, 2 hits, nothing more for Orleans in the top of the first. We go bottom first. We'll start with the defensive alignment before we get to the starting pitcher, which is a new one. Micheletti Jr., King Jr., and Trimble from left to right in the outfield. Penny, Fro, Oyama, and Hallback from third to first. And Owen Carpellotti does the catching for Ivan Romero out of U of San Diego in his first start as a Firebird this season.
Yes, Ivan was able to make 3 starts last summer as a member of the Yarmouth Dennis Red Sox, and I like to tell this story because it might hurt the hearts of Firebirds fans, but his last start in the Cape Cod Baseball League, it was against the Firebirds for Scott Pickler's Red Sox, and he was fantastic. Got the win, 5 2/3 innings pitched, only an earned run, 6 strikeouts, and it came in Game 2 of the first round of the playoffs last summer to end the Firebird season. Now he tries to pick up win number 12 of the year for the Birds against the Mariners.
And now he's on the other side. Now he's pitching for the Birds. He'll face Jacob Humphrey, Ethan Anderson, and Mason Guerra, the top 3 hitters for a Mariners team at 13-14, their record. Going to get back to 500 with a win tonight. Romero, the right-hander, out of the windup. His first pitch is cut on and missed by Humphrey, who's playing second base tonight. Check that he's in center field tonight for the Mariners. Romero working quickly. The 0-1 to Humphrey is on the ground to short. Farrow up with it, throws to first, just in time for the out. Romero collects his first out of the inning. On the first batter, Humphrey, and now will face Ethan Anderson out of Virginia, one of the biggest, literally and physically, when it comes to size, when it comes to height of hitters in the Cape Cod Baseball League.
6'2", 215, but he was dominant at UVA in the spring. Third-team All-ACC selection at first base.
Hasn't had the best of luck in the Cape Cod Baseball League so far. Takes the first pitch, ball high and away from Romero. The lefty Anderson, 137 is batting average, 4 for 29. 1 home run, that bringing the RBI. Takes a strike at the bottom of the zone. From Romero, pitched, as Ian said, 16 innings for YD last year in the summer. The 1-1 with 1 out is high. Nobody on, 1 out. Scoreless game here from Harwich. Our last time heading to Harwich as well, pending playoffs, of course. The season ended today. We'd be right back here for Game 1.
Someone's looking ahead.
Just a little bit. 2-1 is fouled away. Anderson a little bit late on the fastball from Romero, who has made an appearance for the Firebirds this year. Just 4 days ago against Katuitt at Lowell Park. He came out of the bullpen after Dylan Jacobs was hit in the foot. Eventually realized that he broke his fibula. Had to leave the team. A curveball that's pulled right side. Hall back up with it. Tosses over to Romero at the bag for the second out.
Little San Diego school to San Diego school connection. Hallback from UC San Diego. Romero from the University of San Diego. There's also San Diego State, too. I know it's a big city, but how many major schools does it need? It's really confusing for me as a Connecticut native, but those two will probably be hooking up a few more times this summer.
Absolutely right. Face off with each other every single year. Romero deals a first pitch ball to Mason Guerra, the 3-hitter for the Mariners. Then you have, of course, UC Irvine, which is about an hour north from where Joe Oyama is from. And Hallback says they beat San Diego State all the time, but they seem that they can't beat USD. Can't beat the school that Romero's from. Fires a fastball at the bottom of the zone for a strike to Guerra and evens up the count 1-1.
Well, it's a USD team that won the WCC last season, went to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2013, and Romero was a big part of it.
1-1 is low. So possibly they might have maybe too many schools, but they're winning. UCSD with Big West champions this year and USD winning the WCC.
Well, a big reason why USD's winning games is because their new head coach has ties to Orleans, Brock Ungricht. He was on Kelly Nicholson's team back in 2005.
The 2-1 is just outside to the righty Guerra, 3-1. 2 out, nobody on, bottom first.
He was promoted to head coach of USD last year. What did he do? Make the NCAA tournament in his second year on the job. Played for Orleans in 2005 when they were the Cardinals.
3-1 is low. A 2-out walk to Guerra from Romero. First base runner for the Mariners tonight. Ian, what happened in that 2005 season again?
a championship, Dylan, and the last one for Orleans with Kelly Nicholson at the helm, who's won 2 titles in his 22 years here. One as a pitching coach in 03 and another one with Ungricht, the current head coach at USD, the head coach for Ivor and Romero in 2005.
Small world, small world. First pitch on the ground to Farrow. Tosses the second for the force out. Carrier is retired on the fielder's choice. A 1-2-3-4 bottom of the first inning for Ivan Romero. He throws up a 0 on the scoreboard. We'll go top 2, no score between the Mariners and the Firebirds. We are back in Harwich, our 3rd time here this year. Here this year. Firebirds 0-2 here against the Mariners, 0-2 over at Eldridge against the Mariners. They're looking to change their fate. They bring up Fenwick Trimble here in the second, a scoreless game.
Number 13, Fenwick Trimble.
1 base runner for the Mariners on a walk, 2 hits for the Firebirds in the top of the first off the bats of Justin Rubin and Jack Penny. But a strikeout of Matt Hallback and a ground out of Eddie Micheletti Jr. stopped that chance for Orleans. Tom Chmielewski right back to the mound. Fires a first pitch strike on the slider to Trimble.
Trimble, as we said in the scorching start, 3 runs batted in the Tuesday win against Brewster without a hit, 2 sac flies.
The 0-1 is outside. 2 sac flies, and then for the 3rd RBI, it wasn't an easy one. It's actually probably one that hurts the most. A hit by pitch with the bases loaded.
It was a weird first inning, but Orleans scratched 2 runs.
1-1 is smoked to center, but right at the center fielder. Humphrey goes back. He makes the catch.
Yeah, it was a weird first inning, but one that Orleans was able to capitalize on in that Tuesday game. Fenwick Trimble with a bases-loaded walk, and then Jake Casey got plunked by a pitch twice, including one time with the bases loaded, to drive in 2 runs without a hit in the first inning.
They didn't have to do much but stand in the box and take a few bumps and bruises. Owen Carpellotti, in the catching position, takes a few bumps and bruises every single night. Swings and misses at the first pitch from Chmielewski. Carp batting from the left side, last played 4 days ago at Katuitt. In a loss for the Firebirds. Close one, a 6-5 loss. Takes another strike on the slider.
He's on a 3-game hit streak. 3 for his last 11 from the plate. Still striking out here and there, but starting to find his rhythm.
The 0-2 holds up and confirmed by third base umpire Jason Budka on the curveball down in the dirt. Chmielewski will get a new ball after that one landed in the dirt. The catching position has been one that the Firebirds haven't gotten much from in terms of offensively. Defensively, they've been really good, but they really need that spot in the order, whether it be Owen Carpellotti or Henry Hunter, or even if Colin Tuff does a little bit of catching, to really get going offensively. The 1-2 with 1 out and nobody on is high with the fastball.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens there with Tuft. He was a top 120 catching prospect in the country coming out of his high school in Virginia 2 years ago, but has played exclusively in the outfield in his 4 starts with Orleans.
That one actually foul-tipped. Carpellotti goes down swinging, doesn't matter anyway. On a curveball in the dirt. Strikeout number 2 for Chmielewski is the second out here in the second and brings up Eddie King Jr.
That's just such a really good curveball from Shimoleski, and now that he's got it under control, he struggled to find the zone after only recording it out in the first part of the first inning. He's dialed in now.
First pitch to Eddie King is a slider on the outside corner for a strike. That's how he's starting out a lot of right-handed hitters. Not a fastball, not the big curveball, but the slider that just curls and hits the outside part of the plate. The 0-1 is the curveball that King lays off of. 2 outs, nobody on. 2 straight outs for Shimoleski in the second. A line drive by Trimble that found the glove of Humphrey in center. And a strikeout of Carpellotti. The 1-1, called strike. King went around as well on the fastball. The lower part of the zone on the outside corner. 1-2, 2 outs. Shimoleski looking to work through a breezy 1-2-3 second inning. Pitch is chopped to third in fair territory. The throw to first is in time and now ruled fouled. A very late call. One that is fortuitous of the Firebirds by David Martinez, the home plate umpire. Throw was made by the third baseman Guerrero over to first. Would have been in time, but King gets another chance at it.
Yeah, I give a lot of credit to Martinez there. I mean, obviously he does the Birds solid, but he let it play out. But it was pretty clear that was in foul territory. Just wanted to make sure he got the call right.
The 1-2 to King is on the ground to short. Camarillo down and up with it. Throw to first. Pulls Anderson off the bag, but gets back in time for the out to get the speedy King Jr. 1-2-3 inning. First Shimoleski here in the second. We'll go to the bottom of the second. Still no score between the Mariners and the Firebirds. Bottom 2 of a scoreless game between Orleans and Harwich on a gorgeous night. Thursday, July 13th.
At the Apple Watch
To Ian.
tonight from Whitehouse Field. Master as Drew Farrell from the plate at that shortstop position as well.
In his last 3 starts, 4 hits from Farrell. He takes
Look, line out.
back here on the Birds Broadcast Network. A first pitch ball fired to Daniel Rivera, the 9-hitter for Harwich. 11 batters to the plate for Orleans. 6 runs come across. 8 hits. A few doubles thrown in there. A few singles. No home runs, but 6 runs come across in one of the better innings for the Firebirds this year.
Orleans has not been a home run hitting team necessarily this season, but who cares?
2-0 is a pop fly in the center. Eddie King took a step back, now comes in and makes the catch. Rivera is retired for the first out here in the third. And who better to feel, other than this offense, other than hitting coach Max Fescue, who must be out of this world excited with this offense, but also Ivan Romero, who now gets 6 runs to work with.
A lot better than the situation he inherited the last time he stepped into a ball game for Orleans with multiple runners on and a pitcher that went down with an injury that all of a sudden forced him to move to the bullpen on Sunday when Dylan Jacobs went down against Katuitt. He feels much more comfortable here in his second appearance.
Jacob Humphrey back to the top of the order, chops it foul on the 1-0, almost into the Harwich dugout, off the facing of it. Romero, who now pitches up 6 in a game that's may not be your quintessential bullpen game for the Firebirds, but they're not expecting 6 or 7 strong from Romero. The 1-1 is a strike with the slider. Great pitch from Romero. We froze Humphrey. Grounded out to second back in the first, did Humphrey, on a great play by Joe Oyama. The 1-2 with one out and the base is empty. Fastball just outside. Romero is walking off the mound thinking he got the call. Got the call back to the mound. Let's try to finish this at-bat off. 2-2 to the leadoff man. Another fastball, another one that just misses outside. No called strike 3 from David Martinez just yet. Humphrey, who came in batting .215 with a homer and 5 RBIs. The 3-2 swing and a miss. Try once, try twice, got him on the third try, does Romero with the strikeout. His first one of the night is out number 2 in the third.
Although Romero couldn't finish off Humphrey early in that at-bat, I like how he attacked him, went outside, and then in a full count did not leave anything up high, lower in the zone. Chmielewski got burned by leaving too many pitches higher in the zone last inning, and I think awaiting Romero probably took a page and realized what he had to do.
Fire the first pitch, strike to Anderson. It goes off the glove of Hallback and into right field. Anderson will reach on what should be an error on Matt Hallback right near the first base line. Behind the bag. Went off the glove and into right field, fielded by Trimble. See if that will be the first hit of the night for Harwich, but it probably should be an error on Orleans, and it will be an error on Hallback at first, which allows a runner to reach with 2 outs for the third time tonight. What a weird game. A walk in the first with 2 outs, a walk in the second with 2 outs, and now an error that allows a runner to reach here in the third with 2 outs. Mason Guerra, the batter from the right side, takes the first pitch ball outside from Romero.
When your offense has been productive as it has been today, you can afford to make those errors, but still an issue that's hurt the Birds all season long, especially in their last matchup against Harwich.
Down the right field line and foul goes Guerra for strike 1. This might be very basic to say, but when the Firebirds do make 1, 2, at times 3 errors, that's when they really get in trouble, and most of the time they can't fight their way back, and they end up losing those type of games. Off first is Anderson, 1-1, 2 outs, swing and a miss by Guerra. The changeup on the outside corner gets the swing and miss from the 3-hitter, who's right at the 390 mark with four RBIs for this Harwich team. Romero comes set in the stretch. 1-2, 2 outs, just outside. Carpellotti looked to bring it back, but couldn't. Count evens 2-2 with 2 outs and a runner.
Aware of it's probably a pitch he's swinging at after his freshman year at Oregon State when he had over a 40% K rate, dipped all the way to 24% after his sophomore year.
Living and learning. Romero checks over at first.
I mean, that's still not a necessarily low strikeout rate, but Guerra still hit .326 with 12 homers and 56 RBIs and still improving. And one of the best teams in the Pac-12 with Oregon State.
Him and Travis Bazzana.
Mm-hmm.
The 2-2 popped up foul. Right over our quote-unquote broadcast booth. On the first base side of home plate, right behind the fence.
Yes, Bazzana, one of his stars of the Falmouth Commodores, and Guerra wearing the left orange shin guard and also the black and orange cleats representing the Beavers.
2 West Coast guys dealing it out, 2-2, a foul ball first base side off the end of the bat of Guerra. A lot of Pac-12 in the Cape Cod Baseball League.
Orleans had some Pac-12 in Austin Overland at the start of the season. Went for USA Baseball's collegiate training camp. And Johnny Olmstead, who just left the team after being drafted by the Marlins.
To the 2-2 again, curveball that Guerra doesn't swing at. Thought about it. He took it 3-2, 2 outs. On the move will be Anderson off first. He reached on an error. Also, Eric Orloff came from U of Arizona. He was with the Firebirds for a week or so. Out of the bullpen. Romero checks on first. The full count pitch is popped up in fair territory. Back goes Carpellotti behind home plate. Takes his mask off and makes the catch in foul ground. Another 4-batter inning, another 0 on the scoreboard for Harwich by means of Ivan Romero. Let's go to the fourth, 6-0 Orleans here on the Birds Broadcast Network. Got a lot of moving pieces as we come back here on the Birds Broadcast Network. Let's start you off with this. 6-0 the score in favor of Orleans over Harwich as we sit here in the top of the fourth on the Birds Broadcast Network. Justin Rubin takes the first pitch, ball low. New pitcher for Harwich is Xavier Martinez. Played last year at CSUN and is now going to USC in the fall. 1-0 to Rubin, base hit, up the middle. Grabbed at second, throw to first is way high. It goes out of play.
Yikes.
The play made by the second baseman Rivera behind second. It was incredible for him to just get there to the ball. It looked like a base hit up the middle all the way, and he just airmailed it to first. Rubin's going to take second as the ball went out of play. So basically, not how the third inning started. A runner on second with nobody out for the Firebirds. So new pitcher in Xavier Martinez. Defensive change for Harwich. Kenny Jones is in left. And Casey Sawkey is going to move from left to right field in place of Devin Obie. Penny tries to lay down a bunt. It goes foul and to the backstop. Rubin's at second.
On the scoreboard, they ruled that a hit. That was the 10th hit of the night, despite the high throw.
Should be a hit and an error. Maybe they ruled Rubin as he would have got to first base. He has great speed. Penny takes the ball low, 1-1 the count, but it's not a double. They only have him at first right now. So as we sit right now, we're going to go single and an error. See if the scorekeeper changes. The 1-1 is high for Martinez, the right-hander. That's an 8 ERA this year in the Cape Cod base. 9 innings for the Mariners. Guys looking to just eat some outs as they fight big here in the fourth. 2-1 to Penny is low. He'll be teamed with Austin Overn in the fall.
That he will. Overn headed into his sophomore season with USC, and Martinez, a dynamic reliever in the Big West.
3-1 is fouled at home plate. Runs the count full.
Transferring from Cal State Northridge, CSUN the abbreviation, a mid-major, to a USC program that is major. 12 national championships, a team trying to get back on top of the national scene. Martinez a part of that, and Austin Overn, one of the more exciting freshmen in the country this past year.
A USC program that leads the nation in championships all time. Timeout by Penny. Rubin is on second after a single and an error. It's now ruled an error on the scoreboard. 10 hits for Orleans. Rubin gets his second of the night. And both errors have been off Rubin. Balls that he hit. Penny takes a walk. A ball from Martinez. 2 runners on with no out for Orleans here in the top of the 4th.
It's just a tough game right now for Harwich. It's hard to pinpoint what necessarily went wrong tonight for Tom Chmielewski, outside of the fact that he left a few too many good pitches up in the zone, but he had control. Martinez not getting from his defense either after the second error of the game for his team.
The batter is Hallback, lines a single into right field. To third goes Rubin. He'll stop there as the throw comes in, blocked by Arnn at the plate. Another hit for the Firebirds. Hit number 11. They're breaking out tonight. And Matt Hallback gets his first of the night. Loads the bases with nobody out.
Now all but Owen Carpellotti has reached tonight for Orleans. It's just been a fantastic night offensively, a group effort, good team baseball. Not easy to do in the Cape Cod Baseball League when everybody is clicking and humming like they are tonight, but this order's just got each other's back.
Micheletti, the batter, against Martinez. First pitch to the lefty is outside for a ball. Still waiting on that first grand slam for the Firebirds this year.
You think?
I'll always say it when the bases are loaded. The 1-0 is low, blocked by Arnn. On third is Rubin. On second is Penny, and on first is Matt Hallback. Not only has everyone but Carpellotti reached, but everyone but Carpellotti has a hit, not just a walk. Everyone's hitting tonight. The 2-0 outside, and Martinez is 1 ball away from walking in a run.
We've seen this story before. Could be the second game in a row. Fenwick Trimble did it in the first inning of Tuesday's win against Brewster.
Will it happen? The 3-0 is outside. It does. An RBI walk for Micheletti, a 4-pitch at bat. Brings in Rubin. He'll score. He'll make it 7-0 Orleans, who still has the bases loaded and nobody out for Fenwick Trimble.
I don't know if Eddie Micheletti necessarily needed a confidence booster headed into tonight, but he didn't have a run batted in his previous 8 games. Last 2 at-bats, he's driven in 2. 10 on the year. Micheletti, a really solid season out here on the Cape and a good at-bat.
A first pitch strike on a foul ball, dealed by Martinez. A nightmare start to his outing. 4 batters, all have reached, 2 singles, 2 walks. Trimble up with the bases loaded and nobody out. Firebirds already up 7-0 here in the top of the 4th. Martinez deals outside, 1-1. Trimble with a line out in the second, a single in the third. Came around to score as well. 1 of 6 runs to come around to score in that third inning. 1-1 is pulled down the left field line and foul.
A little bit of friendly fire. That ball just whistled by the back of Jack Penny. Balls flying all around the ballpark tonight. Unbelievable mindset that Firebirds have had in the box. Getting ahead in the count. Trimble behind. How does he shorten up?
1-2 curveball that he gets a piece of. It goes fouling out of play. Against Brewster 2 nights ago on Tuesday, it was an 8-run performance by the offense, but a lot of it was given by the Brewster pitching staff. This is the complete opposite. The Firebirds are taking it to the Mariners tonight. Trimble strikes out for the first out of the inning, but it's not like they're getting hit by pitch and walked and errors all over the place. They're hitting the baseball tonight and hitting it really well.
New Orleans has only walked twice tonight. Now the Birds have benefited from 2 errors as well. A free bag is a free bag, whatever way you slice it. But the timing in the box, the plate discipline, everybody's dialed.
Here's Carpellotti. First pitch swing, gets a hold of one to center. Back goes Obi to the track. At the warning track, he'll make the catch. Coming to score is Penny. Moving to third is Hallback. Moving to second is Micheletti Jr. Carpellotti probably 5 to 10 feet away from the first grand slam of the season for the Firebirds. Probably his best contact of the year, and he still drives in a run.
Doesn't even matter if you get a hit. It's just unselfish baseball. But I'd agree with you, Dylan. That sounded really good off the bat. It would be gone at, I feel like we bring up this ballpark every night. It would be gone at Red Wilson Field in Yarmouth Dennis.
A lot would. Ball is in the zone for a strike to Eddie King Jr. That one would have been way gone at Red Wilson Field.
Way gone, like a Hunter Hines level way gone. Like 9 home runs on the year way gone.
The 0-1 to King is high.
But it's 400 in dead center here from Whitehouse Field, and it's 434 feet in dead center from Orleans. But Carpelati does a job and gets a ribby.
The 1-1 is outside to King. Coming home was Penny. 2 runs. Now in the inning for the Firebirds, who lead 8-0. Martinez's 2-1 is way outside, and Arendt dives to keep it in front of him. Hallback is at third. At second is Micheletti Jr. 2 outs and 11 hits for the Birds. Back-to-back nights with 8 runs. 3-1 to King. Hits him. A hit by pitch. 6 on Tuesday against. Make that number 1 tonight. And it'll load the bases with 2 outs for guess who but Drew Farrow.
And it's the second game in a row that Eddie King's been hit by a pitch. He's been getting on base a lot over these last 4 games or so for Orleans. It's just unbelievable how, I don't know if it's unlucky, but just everything is breaking the way of Orleans tonight. Capitalizing on pitches in the zone, laying off bad pitches, taking free bags. It's great.
First pitch to Farrow is cut on and missed. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Farrow came in with 2 RBIs on the season and 36 at-bats. He's now doubled that, 2 RBIs tonight. The 0-1 on the ground, off the glove of Martinez, right to second base. Throw to first is in time. Martinez to Rivera make that 1-4-3 the play as the Firebirds add 2 more in the top of the 4th. 8-0 Orleans as we go to break on the Birds Broadcast Network. We go bottom 4. Yes, that score on your screen is not wrong. 8-0 Orleans. 6 runs in the 3rd, 2 runs in the 4th. Ivan Romero is back to the mound after another long inning on the bench, waiting for his offense to get done with what they've been doing, which has been a lot tonight. 11 hits. Romero, a lot of run support to say the least. Fires a first pitch curveball for a strike to Lorenzo Carrier. Out of Miami, into a fielder's choice to end the 1st inning in his last at-bat. The 0-1 from Romero. He is a little bit low. 11 hits for the Firebirds. How many for Harwich? Well,
Zilch.
That number will be 0, as you said. The 1-1 to Carrier is on the ground to 3rd. Penny gloves it to 1st for the out.
You know, it's been an interesting season for Harwich and an interesting season overall for the East Division. I think 4 of the 5 teams in this division with negative run differentials, which would probably indicate they're all beating down on each other. Harwich headed into tonight had absolutely owned Orleans, outscored them 29-6 in the previous 4 games, all wins.
The first pitch is low to Devin Obie, who actually wasn't taken out of the game. He's now in center field. He caught that shot by Carpellotti. A lot of moving parts for Harwich. The 1-0 to Obie is fouled. Right field line. Could it stay fair? It will not. Down the line, but foul.
That's 2 home runs in the last 5 games for Harwich. He's got good power. He's tried to translate it to the next level. With Duke, he's had a couple up and down seasons. He's been good as of late for Harwich. We're getting back to that point. It's just been a weird season for the Mariners. I mean, you take out those 4 wins against Orleans. I know those are a lot of games. It's a big sample size. I mean, Harwich wouldn't even have double-digit wins. The run differential would be at -20 or 30.
She's been so dominant against this team. Curveball goes low.
And Orleans has clearly had enough of it. I understand these guys, aren't battling tooth for nail. This isn't like college rivalries out here, but they know what the record is. I understand that. They know Harwich has owned them, and tonight, Orleans came out here and understood what the assignment was.
Not just that, but even more than that. Obie goes around, 2-2 the count, 1 out, nobody on, bottom 4, 8-0 Orleans. Ian, I look at the West and I say they have Katuitt and they're beating everybody. They look like they're just having a magical season. But like we said, Bourne and Falmouth are also really hot and are very good teams. It won't be easy to come out of the West for Katuitt. The 2-2 is low, runs the count full. In the East, Harwich was up there for a little bit of time. They had the USA guys taken out. They had some of their pitchers taken away. Now YD's at the top, but they just lost Will King. He just got drafted. It truly is not a one-team division. There is no winner crowned at this point in the East.
I'd say there's 2 parts of a Cape League season.
The 3-2 is popped up. Back of first. Back goes Hallback. Now in comes Trimble. In fair territory, he'll make the catch.
And this is my first summer here on the Cape, so I'm just kind of speculating, kind of taking what people have told me from the past who have experience around this league. It doesn't matter what your record is right now. It really does not. And that's not to take away from anything that Katuitt's done, Yarmouth Dennis has done, or what the bad teams have done. But the rosters are just so different from day 1 to day, 25 now?
For the Firebirds it is. Another pop-up by Salke. Foul territory. Hallback is under it at first base. Makes the catch for the 3rd out of the inning. First 1-2-3 inning for Romero. Keeps Harwich off the board. Not only in the runs category, but the hit category as well. Let's go to the 5th. And my man Ian Nicholas taking over on the play-by-play here on the Birds Broadcast Network.
Back at the top of the 5th on the Birds Broadcast Network. It is not a close game. 8-0 Orleans in front against a Harwich team that is 4-0 so far this summer against the Firebirds. Xavier Martinez, the USC transfer, heads out on the mound for his 2nd inning of work. His 1st inning, not great, filling in for Tom Chmielewski, who surrendered 9 hits, 3 earned runs, and 6 total in a 3-inning start. Martinez gave up 2, walked 2, struck out 1, and things don't get easier for the former Cal State Northridge star as he faces the UC Irvine standout And Joe Oyama, Orleans, back to the top of the order with 11 hits through 5 innings. Here now in the top of the 5th. 11 hits through 4 innings.
Back to the top of the order, Oyama's 4th at bat. Truly one of the more put together and well-played games so far by Orleans this year.
The lefty Oyama takes the ball. 1-0. I mean, what more could you ask for? 4 shutout innings from Ivan Romero on the mound. 8 runs off 11 hits from the offense. A ball and no strikes. Martinez deals. Oyama popped up, high fly, left field. Backing up is Kennedy Jones. He makes the catch, backpedaling near the track with his left-handed glove over his head. And Oyama's retired on 2 pitches, and retired for the 2nd time today.
Martinez is in just eat outs. But we were talking about Ian, and I think this is a great time to bring it up because of how the score is. Shimoleski, who went 3 innings, 9 hits, 6 runs, and I look at 6 runs and I say, why are they all not earned? There was no errors made by any position players. The errors were made by Shimoleski as he threw the ball into center field back in that 3rd inning where they scored 6 runs. I truly don't understand it, why those are not earned.
Ruben behind 0-1. Martinez deals. Breaking ball in for strike 2 looking. Ruben, the right-handed designated hitter tonight, falls behind 0-2. It's weird. Bases loaded, 1 out, 8-0 Orleans, top 5. It's sometimes a frustrating game when you look at the official scorebook. The 0-2 is chopped down the first base line, into the glove of Anderson, calls off the pitcher, steps on the bag, and retires his 2nd in a row here in the 5th inning.
I mean, you have a pitcher who's given up 9 hits, he gives up 6 runs, and the reason why the inning continued on was because of him. Because he threw the ball into center field, not a third baseman, not the shortstop, he did it. He should be charged with the runs.
But instead, his mistake helps his final line, helps his ERA. Jack Penny, the lefty, in the batter's box. He takes a strike on the fastball from the California native Martinez, 0-1. Lefty on lefty, nobody on, 2 out. 8-0 Orleans, top 5. The 0-1 pitch, breaking ball, gets through the legs of Arndt. And to the backstop, now a ball and a strike to number 11, Penny. It was a tough start for Chmielewski, who the Princeton Tiger had not given up more than 2 earned runs in his previous 4 starts, all of them between 5 and 6 innings pitched for Harwich. But the Massachusetts native giving up 3 earned, 6 total through 3 innings tonight. The 1-1 on the way. Penny takes it for ball 2. An off-speed pitch misses low. Bases empty, 2 out. 8-0 Birds, top 5 over the Mariners. All 8 runs scored in the last 2 innings. 2 of them off Martinez. The 2-1 swung on, fouled away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Penny tonight with a single in the 1st, a 2-run double in the 3rd, and a walk in the 4th. It's been a pretty good day to be the rising junior from Notre Dame, another Massachusetts native from Wakefield. He rests the bat over his left shoulder and awaits the 2-2 pitch, a breaking ball on the lower 3rd for strike 3 looking. Well, there had to be a dud of an inning in there somewhere. Orleans couldn't stay hot forever. Xavier Martinez delivers a 1-2-3 frame, and the score stays a tight 8-0. After 4.5, Birds lead. We go to the bottom of the 5th here from Whitehouse Field on the Birds Broadcast Network. Bottom of the fifth on the Birds Broadcast Network. The scoring finally slows down for Orleans with no runs added to its 8-0 advantage in the top of the fifth. Back in the bottom of the fifth, Ian Nicholas, Dylan Pescatore here on the Birds Broadcast Network. And Dylan, a great start in his first start of the summer for Ivan Romero. He down with YD.
Hits allowed in 4 innings of runs run support in the third, then 2 more in the fourth. He was just throwing strikes. He was getting outs, and now a new pitcher in for the Firebirds in Chase Hungate out of Virginia. 3rd appearance for him.
Hungate, the 675-pound rising junior, a side-armed right-handed thrower, as you mentioned, from UVA, originally from Abingdon, Virginia, which is a small town in southwest Virginia, about 3.5 hours away from UVA.
Is that the DMV area?
It's not.
Oh.
Jasper Oko, our graphics man, could tell you that. Bottom of the order due up for Harwich. It starts with the catcher, Brian Arndt, who faces a pitch inside, ducks out of a way for a ball, 1-0, right around his hips to the right-handed catcher facing the right-handed pitcher. Now, DMV area is central to Washington, D.C., not 3.5 hours away. The 1-0 on the ground towards Jack Penny at third, throws over to first, and Hallback lunges towards his right, makes the snag, and Brian Arndt retired on 2 pitches here in the bottom of the fifth. Still 8-0 Orleans over Harwich.
If you're going to call it, we should just call it the D.C. area then, or the D.C. metro area.
No, but that's not cool, you know.
But if you say DMV, right, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, you have to assume it's the whole state of Maryland and Virginia.
Well, do you think people are confused about the tri-state area?
Well, the tri-state area of Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey, right?
Yes.
Every part of New Jersey and New York is in there, in my mind.
I guess so.
Like
0-1, by the way.
Rochester.
Baseball still kind of important. Ali Camarillo.
Rochester and Syracuse, etc. I consider them part of the tri-state area.
What? No balls in a strike. Hungate deals. Another ground ball towards Jack Penny at third. Another throw over to first. It's high. Hallback gets back on the bag, applies the tag as he hit planet Earth and got Ali Camarillo right on the chest with that tag to retire another here in the bottom of the fifth. Still 8-0 Orleans. Nobody on, 2 out. Dylan.
Yes.
Syracuse, New York is not considered part of this tri-state area. It simply is not. Central New York is not a part of the tri-state area.
Where parts of some of the states are not in it, and some tri-state area where some of the states are not in it.
It's just the vicinity of a major city.
Where's the limits?
1-0 to the right-handed second baseman, Daniel Rivera. It just, you got to use a little logic, right?
You consider Westchester tri-state area, of course.
Yes, because it's close to New York City.
Right.
The 1-0 pitch, chopped foul, and into the glove of Carpellotti, but it hit the dirt first, 1-1.
Where's the line?
Fairfield County, Connecticut, Westchester.
How north of Westchester do we go? Do we go to Paulding, New York?
I don't think anybody tuning in really cares.
I do.
I know you do. Base is empty, 2 out. 8-0 Orleans, bottom 5. Hungate's 1-1. Breaking ball, misses high. 2-1 of a bottom man, Rivera. Hungate still waits for the sign from Carpellotti behind the dish and deals. Popped up in the infield, towards the middle infield. Drew Furrow and Joe Oyama want it. Furrow gets it right in front of Oyama off the right side of second base. 6 up, 6 down. 6-side took over on the mic. It means I'm a jinx, or maybe I want the game to move by. 8-0 Orleans after 5. We'll come back in the top of the 6th on the Birds Broadcast Network.
Welcome back to the Firebirds are up 8-0, heading to the top of the 6th. One of the main leaders on the team is none other than West Virginia's pitcher, Derek Clark. I spoke to him before the game, and he gave me a few keys that they have been executing so far. They've been focusing on getting guys on and getting them in, meaning that they don't want to leave guys in the scoring position with less than 2 outs. They also want to play clean defense, execute late in counts, get into hitters' counts, and hunt the fastball. The dugout has been very vocal all game long, continuing to emphasize these keys, which has been essential to their success. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Sammy. Guys have gotten on and gotten in an 8-0 lead for Orleans top 6. Xavier Martinez still on the mound. His first pitch to Matt Hallback is blistered to left. You can kiss it goodbye. Solo shot off the first pitch in the top of the 6th from Matt Hallback. Goes just over 360 feet in left field. And in some Big West on Big West crime, UC San Diego defeats Cal State Northridge, and Orleans extends the lead 9-0.
Hallback gets on the home run board, his first as a Firebird, and it's a big one. You knew it right off the bat, like you said, Ian, to left field. Getting this lead even bigger, almost double digits for the Firebirds.
9 runs, all of them in the last 3 innings, as the left-handed Eddie Micheletti takes the ball on the outside corner 1-0. With the bases clear, nobody out after that solo shot from Hallback to left. 12th hit of the night for Orleans. Martinez misses inside with the fastball, now 2-0 to Micheletti. Hallback with a hit in each of his last 2 at-bats. Same could be said for Eddie Micheletti. But 2-0. Down the first baseline, Anderson gloves it at his hip and steps on the bag. 1 away.
Crazy to think that in a 9-0 game, Firebirds just got their first home run.
That's a good point. It's not necessarily a Firebirds team that has relied on the home run ball this season. And I'd say, Dylan, probably a good thing for longevity and sustainability of offensive production. But, look, a home run is a home run, and Hallback, 7 in the spring, is first of the summer. Martinez deals to Fenwick Trimble. He misses a fastball to the sophomore from James Madison. Now I'll look at Jasper Oko, a graphic man, and say this. Virginia Beach, DMV area, yes or no?
I'm not sure
Jasper
where
gives
the
me a
Virginia
50-50
Beach
no.
area is.
The 0-1.
Is that with the big bridge?
Breaking ball in for a strike 0-2. Dylan's having a separate conversation with Jasper right now.
I'm just trying to figure out where Virginia Beach is. I think it's lower Virginia, and it connects to Williamsburg.
Upstairs 1-2. Well, you could ask Fenwick Trimble. Well, the base is empty and 1 out. 9-0 Orleans top 6. You could Harwich's first baseman, who's high school teammates with Fenwick Trimble back in the day. The 1-2 is popped up in the air. Pass Anderson at first, and towards second now in right field. It's gloved by Casey Sawkey, Anderson's teammate at Virginia. 2 away.
A lot of Virginia connections here. Gotta get better at my geography.
You do.
I do.
Talking about somebody who knows geography well, that is Ethan Anderson to a T. As the son of a Navy SEAL, he has done a lot of traveling. Born in Honolulu, Hawaii. Or a T and a tennis ball and said, I'm going to teach you baseball. Ethan Anderson, a star at Virginia now. He's been all around. No balls and a strike to the left-handed Owen Carpellotti. A low miss from Xavier Martinez on the mound for his 3rd inning of work. It's now a ball and a strike to Big O. Bases clear, 2 out. 9-0 Orleans, adding on of a lead in the top of the 6th after a solo shot from Matt Hallback off the first pitch of the inning in the left field. 1-1, swung out.
Carpellotti plays baseball in the DMV area.
At Georgetown. The 1-2. Fastball misses low, now 2-2. Carpellotti didn't grow up there. He grew up outside Detroit in Michigan. One of 2 Michigan guys on this team, including a star reliever, Derek Clark. 2 balls, 2 strikes, nobody on, 2 out. Here's the pitch. Carpellotti, swing and a miss, and the inning ends. Another quick inning, but not a scoreless one. Matt Hallback off the first pitch to left field, 360 feet and gone. Off Xavier Martinez to extend the Orleans lead 9-0. We go to the bottom of the 6th on the Birds Broadcast Network. We'll be back in a few. Orleans shaking things up in a game that has already been shooken up. 9-0 Birds in the bottom of his 6th. And a minor substitution defensively. Fenwick Trimble out in right field, and in is the rising junior from Kent State, Jake Casey. Top of the order for this Harwich team. It starts with the first at bat of the night for Kennedy Jones. Still the pitcher, and his sidearm right-handed pitch in for a strike. 0-1 to the right-handed Jones. Dylan Jones has been an Orleans killer this season, 4 for 14 with 4 runs batted in. The 0-1 pitch misses up and in, now 1-1.
And he does have 15 RBIs, but you say those numbers, his home run came against the Firebirds. It was actually a grand slam as well. So, home run.
Ball grounded towards short. No killing there. He's down on 3 pitches. Retired by Chase Hungate, who's now retired 4 in a row since coming out of a bullpen in relief of Ivan Romero. Bases clear, 9-0 Orleans with 1 out in the bottom of the 6th.
Not only with 4 in a row for Hungate, but also still nothing in that hit column for Harwich.
0 hits, 2 errors, no runs for Steve Englert's team on a 2-game losing skid. Hungate deals to his switch-hitting Anderson, batting lefty against the right-handed Hungate. Some Virginia teammates going at it. Both in the junior class. No balls and a strike. Although Anderson, only 19 years old, he graduated high school a year early. The 0-1 pitch is chopped foul and misses Kelly Nicholson's face towards the right side of a dugout on the right side of the field. 0-2.
They wanted me to graduate high school a year late.
Yeah, Dylan, you did everything in your power to make sure you could get out there in the year of 2020.
Tried my best.
And you did.
Not in physics, but that wasn't a graduation requirement, thank goodness.
Bases clear, 1 out. Hungate deals the 0-2, and it's ripped to right and foul by his collegiate teammate Anderson. Still 0-2, 9-0 Orleans in the bottom of the 6th. My vice was always math. Really good in it in elementary school, middle school. Hard to go out the window.
It's once they brought in those variables, X and Y.
The 0-2 is lined into the glove of the left fielder. Didn't even have to move for it. Eddie Micheletti. Well hit ball, but Anderson from the left-handed batter's box pulled the other way, but a line out for him. And a second out of the inning for Hungate, who's retired 5 in a row since emerging from the bullpen. 9-0 Orleans, bottom 6.
I don't want to say anything or I don't want to jinx anything, but those are the type of things that go your way. A very strong line drive off the bat of Anderson that gets caught in games like this where Harwich is still hitless.
I see what you're getting at. I'm not going to mention it. I don't want to jinx anything. Bases clear, 2 out. 9-0 Orleans, bottom 6, and now it's the right-handed Mason Guerra from Oregon State in the batter's box trying to add a hit on the scoreboard for this Harwich team. He takes a ball on an off-speed pitch low of the zone from Hungate, who readjusts his hat and steps back on. Now a ball and a strike and a count. Orleans with the black vest jerseys tonight, the white lettering, red trim. Hungate's 1-1. Upstairs, ball 2. Meanwhile, for Harwich, the cream jerseys, both top and bottom, with the navy blue lettering, the red trim, and the red helmets. Guerra with the black arm sleeve on his right arm, and the red and gray batting gloves. The 2-1 pitch is fouled away. 2-2. He skips around home plate. Tucks the bat under his left arm. Pit, I guess. Readjusts for gloves. Still searching for a hit is Harwich. 13-14 on the year. 4-0 against Orleans, but down 9-0 in the scoreboard. In the bottom of the 6th inning, Birds with 12 hits, Harwich with none. The 2-2. Low and in, ball 3. Guerra tonight walked in the first inning. That was against Ivan Romero, who threw 4 shutout, popped out behind the dish to Owen Carpellotti in the 3rd, grounded out to Jack Penny at 3rd in the 4th. Here's the pitch. Popped up and foul out of a park towards right. We'll do it again on the full count. Chase Hungate did not start his collegiate career at Virginia. He did not meet Ethan Anderson, or at least he wasn't a teammate of his, until sophomore year. He began his collegiate career at VCU. The 3-2 pitch. On the ground, Drew Farreau makes the play and throws over to first. One hop, Matt Holback hits the deck and can't glove it. Interesting to see how they score it as the throw was in time from Drew Farreau, but a bit off to the right. And still waiting for the ruling.
It's an error, and ruled on the scoreboard as that. 2 errors now for the Firebirds.
The designated hitter.
That's going to go down as an E6 on Drew Farreau. The Florida native's 9th error on the summer. Dylan, he's been excellent from the plate. That's the one thing he's looking to improve upon is his defense at shortstop, because tonight, again, another multi-hit game, but now 1 on 2 out, and it's because of the E6 on him. Guerra on first, and now Carrier in the batter's box. He takes his strike, 0-1.
It's so interesting with Farreau because he makes such dazzling plays in the field. Against Brewster, he had 2 plays that are some of the best of the season from the shortstop position for the Firebirds, but it's the routine ones that kind of trip him up.
Strike 2 called on the right-handed Lorenzo Carrier, the designated hitter, who just finished up his redshirt freshman season at Miami. Farreau stands at short. After the air, it's 9-0 Orleans. Bottom 6, here's the pitch. Up and in. Carrier swung at it and missed. Really good 2 innings out of a bullpen for Chase Hungate. An error leaves one stranded on first base. Mason Guerra. The Birds, the commanding 9-0 lead after 6 from Whitehouse Field. We'll be back at the top of the 7th on the Birds Broadcast Network.
For the Firebirds.
8-9-1. Due up for Orleans. Evan, thanks so much for joining us on the Birds Broadcast Network. Nicholas, Dylan Pescatore on the call. Orleans ahead 9-0 against Harwich. Xavier Martinez toes the rubber once again. The rising junior committed to play at USC delivers a first pitch strike to the right-handed outfielder Eddie King Jr., who goes behind 0-1. Pitch on the way, breaking ball in the dirt outside, 1-1. Eddie King, he's been very good over the 1-1 pitch. Another breaking 1-2. Tonight, no RBIs yet for King, who grounded out in the second, singled in the third, and walked. And he leads off in the 7th. The 1-2, upstairs, ball 2. Dylan, what do you think has changed most with Eddie King, the rising junior from Louisville, over the course of this year?
I think that his swing has changed a little bit. I think at the start of the year, he was swinging really big. His swing was very long. Now he's kind of shortened it up.
2-2, jam.
And it's really been beneficial. Maybe he's not putting the ball over the fence with high exit velocity and using his speed.
Do it again on the full count. You know, something I know you've talked to King about. Coaches at Louisville would like it to be an even 1-to-1 ratio. So far this year, he's got a few more strikeouts and walks, but against Harwich, it's been the big issue. Payoff pitch, misses to lead off the inning from Eddie King. Ball 4 on the full count pitch from Martinez. Against Harwich headed into tonight, King had 7 strikeouts and 1 walk. Against everybody else, he had 9 walks, 7 strikeouts. So for the most part, he's had pretty good.
That's just the team that kind of owns you, and Bostic owned King the other night. He had 3 strikeouts against Josh Bostic, which
0 Orleans in the top of the 7th. Make that 3 games this season with double-digit runs for the Birds.
What a start and what a hit by Ruben. Everything's falling for the Birds right now. Just an inside-out swing from the righty over the first baseman Ethan Anderson's head into right field in fair territory. Everything's working. Everything's going their way.
Martinez deals to the third man of the order, Jack Penny. His fastball is strike 0-1. Ruben Line that pitch right over the head of his former collegiate teammate in Anderson. We've talked about the connections to the Cavs tonight. Ruben spent his first 2 years collegiately with UVA. As that breaking ball misses low from Martinez, 1-1. And he's transferring to Pepperdine out in California in the spring after having under 100 at-bats in each of his first 2 seasons with UVA. A very good program. The 1-1 misses outside, now 2-1. But Ruben continues to deliver, Dylan. Ever since he joined this team last week, he's got a hit in every single one of his games. Now 6 games in a row he's got a hit.
It's been really good for this team. And getting from Ruben, a guy who didn't get a lot of playing time over at UVA. You know, Colin Tuff got a lot of time, especially in the playoffs. But what are you going to get from a guy who didn't get a lot of playing time? And that's what happened. Ruben comes here and is really just starring and showing out.
2 hits tonight, 8 on the year through 6 games for Ruben, who's on second after his 2-run double, which scored Eddie King and Joe Oyama to make it 11-0 Orleans. Martinez deals to Penny, and the 2-2 is foul. The opposite way, it clanks off the Harwich dugout on the left side of the field. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes with 1 on, 1 out. Orleans with crooked numbers in 4 of the last 5 innings. It started with 6 runs in the third. The 2-2. Breaking ball, chopped foul down the first base side. Glove by Ethan Anderson. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 Penny, who singled in the first, drove in 2 runs with a double in the third, walked in the fourth, and went down looking in the fifth.
Let's talk about Eddie
Xavier Martinez out of a game for Harwich after back-to-back run-scoring hits for Orleans, who leads 12-0. At the top of the 7th, Matt Hallback to face the new pitcher, John Holubitz from Old Dominion. Righty on righty. First pitch from Holubitz gets the whiff. Hallback, 0-1. First to Jack Penny. RBI single to right center field. Justin Rubin, who has driven in 2 runs with a double, scored both Joe Oyama and Eddie King Jr. No balls in his strike. Hallback with a laser to left. He's got 1 home run today, and now he doesn't have another. It clanks off the wall down for a hit. Penny to third, Hallback to second. Another extra base hit for Hallback. He's making it look easy. His 3rd straight hit of the game.
Not only making it look easy, pull away from the cycle after starting out the game 0 for 2. Another.
Orleans has seen a cycle hit against them this year. Travis Pizzana in a win for Falmouth earlier in the year. Coletti, the lefty to face the righty Halibut's, the new pitcher in the game, who lands one on the outside corner for a strike, 0-1. As you mentioned, Hallback a single in the foot, double with 1 out. In the 7th, he's on second. Penny's on third, 1 away. 12-0 Orleans. Halibut's misses outside again. Actually, he evens the count 1-1. To the Delaware native, Micheletti Jr., who grounded out in the third and drove in a run with a walk in the 4th. 1-1 misses low, 2-1.
Just a nightmare. This will be their 3rd straight loss.
Still some game to go, but it's 12-0 Orleans. The 2-1, high fly, dropping into left center field, moving towards his right, sliding and making the play is Devin Obie. Throws it to short, trying to force out Matt Hallback, and they do. And the inning ends. No run across the board as Jack Penny took off from third, but the double play ends the inning. Obie. Eddie Micheletti comes up empty, but Orleans does not. 3 more runs in the top of the 7th. It's 12-0 Birds. We go to the bottom of the inning. He deals and misses low, 1-0.
Ferro's had a great night. Possibly comes to a double in the 3rd, a single in the 3rd as well. He had 2 hits in the 3rd inning.
Orleans batted around. It started with him. The 1-0 pitch, cut on, missed. 1-1, a double, and then a 2-run single for Ferro, who has multiple hits 3 times this year and twice against Harwich. Twice in the last week. 5-0 loss for the Birds 6 days ago. Trying to avenge it tonight. The 1-1 misses outside, 2-1. Runner on second is Owen Carpellotti. He doubled the Georgetown catcher's first extra base hit of his summer, 17th hit of the game for Orleans. Season high in the runs department was 13 back in June against Brewster. The 2-1 fouled away, 2-2. It's very tough to do this in the Cape Cod Baseball League, to put up these gaudy offensive numbers, but tonight it's been a tough night for Harwich pitching. Started with Tom Chmielewski, who gave up 6 runs in 3 innings, and then Xavier Martinez gave up 6 more in 3 1/3. Now it's John Halibut's. The 2-2. Farrell looks at strike 3. 2 strikeouts this inning for Orleans, both of them backwards Ks, one for the leadoff man, Jake Casey, and one more for Drew Farrell. Stays 12-0 Orleans after 7.5. We go to the bottom of the 8th, where Harwich still in search of some offense. Couple of defensive substitutions here in the bottom of the 8th inning from Whitehouse Field. It's a one-sided affair. Orleans leads 12-0. A few defensive changes. Behind the dish, Owen Carpellotti done after he doubled in the top of the inning, and in is Colin Tuft, who's catching for the first time this summer. The man transferring to Tulane, heading into his junior season. New pitcher in the game, gone is Chase Hungate, and in is Sam Leboki, the rising redshirt senior from Vanderbilt. Leboki, a right-handed pitcher. He faces the bottom man of the order, Daniel Rivera, a right-handed batter, and delivers the strike 0-1.
Leboki has not pitched in 5 days. He actually started a few games for the Firebirds. He started against Falmouth, went 2 innings, 3 runs, 5 hits, a walk and a strikeout.
Leboki's breaking ball is popped up in the infield, high in the air, tracked down by Drew Farrell in the outfield. He catches it with his left-handed glove over the left side of his head. And that's 1 away here in the bottom of the 8th. Harwich still without a run, still without a hit, and a 12-0 game. Orleans 5 outs away from victory.
Maybe a 12-0 game, but there is a lot of excitement on every single pitch because of a certain reason.
That shall not be named directly, but obviously it's a pretty...
Even though you named it a few times.
You know, I have. What can I say? I'm excited. Leboki back to the top of the order. Now faces Kennedy Jones, who takes a strike 0-1. His first at-bat of the night ended in a ground out after Jacob Humphrey, who initially led off, went 0-2 with a ground out and a strikeout. The 0-1 upstairs, 1-1. Leboki just finished up his redshirt junior season at Vanderbilt, originally by way of Los Angeles, California, where he came from a baseball powerhouse in Harvard Westlake School. Foul ball to right, 1-2. Leboke went to the same high school as Braves All-Star pitcher Max Fried, White Sox All-Star pitcher Lucas Giolito, and a star in the St. Louis Cardinals organization in Jack Flaherty. Up and in, Jones takes a ball 2-2 with the bases empty and 1 out. 12-0 Orleans, bottom 8.
Not too bad of alumni.
No, it's Los Angeles, right? A baseball powerhouse. The 2-2 popped up foul and out of play again. Third base coach Max Fesky, a Los Angeles native, would tell you as much. A top 150 player in his recruiting class was Leboke. Then went to Vanderbilt and dominated out of the gates. The 2-2 pitch, swung on and miss. A dominant offering. And it retires Kennedy Jones. 2 away here in the bottom of the 8th. 12-0 Orleans. Harwich, zeros in a couple of columns tonight. No hits, no runs. And now it's Ethan Anderson, who hits the ball pretty well, just under 380, an average for him during his sophomore season at UVA. The switch hitter bats lefty against the right-handed Leboke. He deals, and that's a miss upstairs. Into the glove of the new catcher, Colin Tuft, who for the first time this summer has a quick talk with a pitcher in Leboke. They converse in front of the mound. Leboke was dominant to start his collegiate career, only gave up 6 earned runs in his first 35 2/3 innings pitched. Then he had Tommy John surgery, missed the second half of his sophomore season, all of his junior season, returned just under 700 days later, and he struggled out of the gates. This spring, he gave up 8 earned runs in his first 3 appearances post-TJ, but he started to pick it up as the year went on after his surgery, had a 3.8 ERA in his final 16 appearances of the year. And Leboke with a 5.7 ERA this summer here in Orleans. Foul ball from Anderson behind the backstop. It's 1-1. Bases clear, 2 out. 12-0 Orleans in the bottom of the 8th inning from Whitehouse Field. The Birds very close to their first win this summer against the Mariners. The 1-1 on the inside corner, a strike. 1-2 for Leboke. Trying to go 1-2-3 in his first inning out of a bullpen. He's pounding the zone. 11 pitches, 8 of them for strikes. Nobody on, 2 out. Here's the 1-2. Upstairs, ball 2. Anderson's been quiet to start this summer, even after an all-ACC performance in the spring with the Cavs, who made it back to the College World Series for the second time in the last 3 years. He's 0 for 3. Foul to left. 2 balls, 2 strikes. That one clanks off some piece of metal. Hopefully everybody's okay. 17 hits tonight for Orleans, 12 runs. Third time this summer, the Birds, who sit 2 games below 500 at 11-13, have scored double-digit runs. Trying to string together back-to-back wins after an off day yesterday. An 8-4 win, also on the road against an East Division foe in Brewster. The 2-2 misses low. Colin Tuft slides towards his right to keep it in front of him. Anderson won't bite at the breaking ball. He's got great plate discipline. Walked more than he struck out during his sophomore season with UVA. Bases cleared, 2 out. Payoff pitch on the way home. Misses high, ball 4. And Ethan Anderson reaches for the second time today. First on an error in the 3rd, now on a walk here in the bottom of the 8th. A few walks, a few hit by pitches, a couple errors tonight. Harwich has reached base. Doesn't have a hit. Mason Guerra trying to change that with 2 out and 1 on in the bottom of the 8th inning. Guerra, the right-handed batter to face the right-handed Leboke. Here's the pitch. Upstairs, ball 1.
He's also reached twice tonight, Guerra has.
Walked in the 1st, and on the 2nd of 2 Orleans errors, reached in the 5th. Misplayed by Drew Farrow at short. Breaking ball misses high from Leboke. now 2-0, behind an account after walking Ethan Anderson, who's on first. 12-0 Orleans, bottom 8. The 2-0 offering. In for a strike on the inner half. 2-1. Leboki trying to get back into a rhythm. Surrendered 3 earned runs in his last appearance, a 6-3 loss to Falmouth on the 8th, in which he was tagged with the loss. The 2-1. Swing and a miss. 2-2.
Leboki looks really good right now, especially with the fastball at the top of the zone. Controlling it very well.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 on, 2 out. Pitch on the way. Upstairs, some chin music. But it misses the head, fortunately, of Mason Guerra. Kind of went around on the swing to the Oregon State star, but kept it in front of the plate. So the count's full. That's ball 3. The payoff pitch. Swung on and missed. Sam Leboki gets it done. And retires 3 of the 4 batters he sees to keep it 12-0 Orleans. Now, I tell you, it's not a competitive game, but there might be a reason to stick around for the bottom of a 9th. Some history could be made. We'll be back to see if it happens when we come back. Top of the 9th on the Birds Broadcast Network. Thanks so much for joining us. See you, Nicholas Dylan Pescatore on the call. Orleans leads 12-0 in search of its first win against Harwich in 5 tries this summer. It's well on its way to doing that. But it has to bat one more time before Harwich closes it out in the bottom of the inning. Top of the order due up for Orleans, beginning with Joe Oyama. Breaking ball in for a strike on the upper half of the zone, 0-1. The man from Old Dominion, John Halibut, gets ahead. Dylan, what's the scores looking like around the league?
Well, we got 3 finals. We got 1 going on right here. And we got a game going on in Chatham, which doesn't usually happen. But 3-0 Chatham leads in the 8th over YD. The last place Anglers, now under Marty Lee, is the new head coach, the interim head coach for the Anglers, who sit at 6-15-1. They will move to 7-15-1 if they can hold a 3-run lead for the final 6 outs against YD, the top team in the East. Falmouth finished it off against Bourne 7-2, 7-3, Hyannis over Brewster, and then we talked about Katuitt just dismantling the Gateman tonight.
2 balls and a strike. Halibut steals. Oyama moves the pitch over to left field. Coming in, making the catch at his chest is the left fielder, Kennedy Jones. 1 away. Oyama, a really good night once again. 2 big hits. An RBI single in the 3rd and a double in the 7th. 12-0 Orleans, top 9. 17 hits for the Birds. Harwich, no hits. Top of the 9th inning here. It's the second man in the order, Justin Rubin. Halibut deals. Fastball misses low. 1-0 to Rubin. A great night for him. His best night as a Firebird. 3 hits, including a 2-run double his last time up. The 1-0 on the way. It misses low, 2-0. Now, just looking at the standings in the East Division, Orleans with a win tonight is still locked in the 3rd place. 2 games behind Harwich for second, but would move within just a game of the Mariners after his 12-0 win. 2-0, breaking ball, upstairs for a strike. The right-handed Rubin still ahead against the right-handed Halibut's. Brewster, meanwhile, sits at 9-16-2. Chatham picks up its 7th win of the year. 2-1, hit the opposite way and foul to right. 2-2. Now, I don't want to rag on Brewster, but if the Whitecaps don't pick things up, they've got a losing streak, or Chatham can find some momentum. That's going to be the big thing to watch out for in the East Division in terms of playoff positioning.
I kind of think of the East like 2 different sections.
Swing and a miss. Rubin retired on a strikeout. His night ends with 3 hits. That's 2 away here in the top of the 9th with nobody on. Orleans up 12-0.
I think of Whitey, Harwich, and Orleans in that top 3. And then I think of Brewster and Chatham in the bottom 2 where they're jostling for that 4 spot. Orleans will now move to 24 points with a win. Harwich with only 26. So only 1 game back of these Mariners who are truly reeling. They are not playing good baseball right now.
Bases clear, 2 out. Jack Penny. He's played good baseball tonight. He takes the ball 1-0. Low miss from Halibut. Penny singled in the first. Drove in 2 runs with a double in the third. And drove in 1 more with a single in the 7th. He takes for a strike. Now even at 1-1. Halibut, the 6'3", 185-pound right-handed pitcher, just finished up his sophomore year at Old Dominion. The 1-1 foul behind the backstop 1-2. Originally from Pottsville, Pennsylvania, he didn't begin his collegiate career at Old Dominion. Actually began with Radford. The last year with Old Dominion was great, under a 3.4 ERA and 6 saves, dominating out of the pen. The 1-2 misses outside and low. 2 balls, 2 strikes to the lefty Penny. 49 strikeouts to only 10 walks in just under 43 innings pitched with Old Dominion in the spring. Nobody on, 2 out, the 2-2. In for strike 3. 1-2-3 goes John Halibut in the top of a 9th. Orleans without a hit in the inning. Harwich without a hit in the game. 3 outs away from a loss. Can Orleans do something special from Whitehouse Field? You'll have to tune in to find out in the bottom of the 9th. The Birds up 12-0. Bottom of the 9th from Whitehouse Field. Orleans leads Harwich 12-0. The Mariners with no runs and no hits. Sam Waboki on the mound for the Birds, and Lorenzo Carrier leads off for Harwich. 4, 5, and 6 due up for Steve Englert's team. Waboki's first pitch, breaking ball in for a strike 0-1. Waboki pitched the 8th inning as well, went 1-2-3. One of the better relievers in the SEC this past spring. Deals the 0-1, gets the whiff on the big swing from Carrier. 0-2. Carrier reached on a fielder's choice in the first and also struck out in the 5th. 12-0 Birds, bottom 9. Waboki's 0-2 is fouled away just off the tip of the bat. And the redshirt freshman from Miami, Florida, still alive behind 0-2. Orleans 3 outs away from its 12th victory on the year, trying to string together back-to-back wins. The 0-2 in the air and foul. Towards the right side of the field, another foul ball from Carrier. It stays no balls, 2 strikes. It started with Ivan Romero. 4 shutout for the San Diego Star in his first start of the summer. Then 3 innings of scoreless baseball from Virginia's Chase Hungate, the 0-2. Now 1-2. Sam Leboke with a scoreless, hitless 8th inning. And the same can be said about every inning today. No runs, no hits, nobody on, nobody out. 1 on, 2 strikes, and there is strike 3 looking. A backwards K for Lorenzo Carrier. Orleans 2 outs away from something special here from Whitehouse Field.
Third strikeout for Leboke and 4 outs. He looks really on today. The best he's looked as a Firebird, bar none.
27 pitches for Leboke. He's gotten 4 outs, 17 of those pitches for strikes. He now faces Devin Obie, another righty. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball and a miss. 0-1. Bases clear, 1 out. A quiet night in a one-sided game from Whitehouse Field. The stands have emptied out. The 0-1, shot to right field and down for a base hit. Devin Obie makes his way past first. He's on the way to second. And with 1 out in the bottom of the 9th, Devin Obie gets the first hit of the game for Harwich. You would think it's a funeral, but Orleans, in fact, leads this game 12-0. But unfortunately, perfection not obtained, at least not a no-hitter. 1 on, 1 out. Pitch up and in to Casey Saki. Now 1-0. Devin Obie, not only a hit, but an extra base hit. Swing and a miss. Saki now 1-1 in a count.
Oh, man. So much pressure on each and every pitcher tonight. And you kind of knew what was going on in the 6th and the 7th. Especially the 8th and now the 9th. Harwich lineup too good to go down all 27 with no hits. But like we said, 2 outs away from history.
Oh, so close. 2 balls and a strike. Leboke deals. Popped up and fouled to right. 2-2 to Saki. The last time Orleans made some history in terms of a no-hitter was June 29th of last year in a 4-0 win against the Chatham Anglers from Eldridge Park. History could not be repeated a year and 14 days later. 2 outs away from a no-hitter tonight. Saki another foul ball that just makes it over the backstop. 2-2 to the rising junior from UVA. Devin Obie was the one who ended the fun for Orleans with a 1-out double to right center field that dropped in the gap for a hit. The first hit of the night for Harwich. Another foul ball from Saki, 2-2.
Maybe not the no-hitter obtained tonight, but you can't talk more about how great this game has been for the Firebirds offensively and especially when it comes to the pitching staff as well. 3 arms that weren't on the opening day roster.
No, and 2 who honestly didn't have any association with the Firebirds roster at the start of the year. Pop up to right center field. Eddie King coming in, sliding, and making the catch. What a great play from Eddie King Jr. A line out from Casey Saki. It's the second out of the inning, and staying at second is Devin Obie. 12-0 Orleans, bottom of the 9th. Birds set to improve to 11-13, now 12-13 on the year. Second win in a row, first in 5 tries against Harwich. The Mariners drop to 13-15. Also 2 games below 500 like Orleans was headed into the night. 1 on, 2 out. Leboke deals and misses high and in to another righty. Bryant Arndt, the catcher, who's reached twice tonight on a walk and a hit by pitch.
Ian, I know you have a lot of experience calling games of this sort reality.
The 1-0 misses high and in, 2-0.
This is nothing new for you.
This is not new. I called games last summer for an Amsterdam Mohawks team in the Perfect Game Collegiate Baseball League that just was absurd and is having another crazy year. 2-0 in for a strike, 2-1. Mohawks won the PGCBL championship, won over 40 games in under 50 tries.
It's truly a video game league.
Yeah, it's a one-sided league. The 2-1 misses low from Leboki. Now 3-1 to Arndt. Great plate discipline from the junior from UNC Wilmington. Runner on second is Devin Obie, who broke a no-hitter for Orleans with 1 out in the bottom of the 9th. Foul pitch over the backstop. 3-2. Obie's 1-out double just a few minutes ago. First hit for Harwich on the game. A little bit late as Orleans leads 12-0. Started with 6 runs in the 3rd. Leboki deals. Popped up towards the right side of the field and snagged by Joe Oyama in the outfield grass moving towards his left. Not a no-hitter, but not a loss to a team that had dominated Orleans so far this season. It took Orleans 5 tries, but the Birds finally battle back against the Mariners and win 12-0 in dominant fashion from Whitehouse Field.
What a win from all phases of the game. The Firebirds needed one like this. The Brewster win is one you had to have. Of course, the 8 and their pitching was not good enough to win that game. 6 hit by pitches from the Whitecaps, 5 walks. But you came out and you showed a team that had your number for the first 4 games this year, and you told them that now we put a lot of numbers up on your scoreboard. 12-0 the final score. Not only is it big for that, but it's also big for the standings, a big swing. Firebirds now 1 game behind Harwich for that number 2 spot, which is so coveted because, of course, it brings home field advantage in the first round.
Harwich drops to 13-15 on the year. Losses in 3 of its last, or I should say, losses in 8 of its last 11 games. As we begin cooling down here on the Birds Broadcast Network, Orleans improves to 12-13 and 1-4 on the year against Harwich. Headed into tonight, as you said, the Mariners had put up a ton of big and ugly numbers against Orleans, outscoring the Firebirds 29-6 in the previous 4 games. Now, Dylan, just touch on the pitching performance. I know it wasn't a no-hitter. Obviously, that's what people are going to take away from this, but Ivan Romero, Chase Hungate, Sam Leboki. 9 innings of scoreless baseball, only allowing 1 hit. That was unreal.
Unreal to say the least. I mean, you had Romero in his first start as a Firebird. We didn't really know what to expect from the guy after he had a shaky appearance against the Kettleers from the bullpen. Then you bring in Chase Hungate, who coming off a shaky appearance in that same Katuitt game. He came in and got a lot of big outs, especially on the ground, as we're going to bring on our post-game interview in Drew Farreau.
Drew Farreau, one of the many Firebirds tonight that absolutely went off. Drew, thanks so much for joining us on Cooling Down. What a game that was, right?
Yeah, awesome game. Anytime you bat twice in 1 inning, you know you're doing good.
And that was you. That was you. And not only did you bat twice, but you batted well twice. You had a double and a run-scoring single. Do you like playing here from Whitehouse Field? You've hit pretty well the last 2 times here.
Yeah, I like it. I think everybody here hit good today, so it was a great team win.
And what do you think of the top of the order? I know we've got the stats kind of in front of you right now. How important is it for the top of the order to kind of set the tone when you see guys like Justin Rubin, Jack Penny, and Matt Hallback all with 3 hits tonight?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, they set the tone for the game for sure, and they did a great job of that tonight.
Cooling down here on the Birds Broadcast Network with Drew Farreau, the Florida State infielder. This was just an absolutely dominant win against a team, Drew, that kind of had this team's number this summer, and I know these are kind of newer rivalries for summer ball players, but what did it mean to finally get a win against Harwich?
Oh, it was huge. They beat us 4 times, and I'm glad we got to win today.
The offense was fantastic, 17 hits, 12 runs. I know something that was also a big storyline was obviously the pitching. Not history, but, man, can you kind of just touch upon what was working for Ivan Romero, Chase Hungate, and then Sam Leboki?
Yeah, they're just attacking the zone, throwing strikes, and all their stuff was on today.
All their stuff was on. And why do you think this team, Orleans has been through some ups, some downs, 3 losses, but now back-to-back wins. Why do you think this group has kind of galvanized together so well, gelled so well for a summer ball team?
I think we've been working hard. On off days, you can come to the field and find us all hitting, taking ground balls. The pitchers get their work in, so I think that's huge for us.
And what is this summer, as we wrap up here with you, thanks so much for joining us, what has this summer meant for you? Because you've had these high points. You've also been through it. It's been up and down against a great league. What do you think you've learned most this summer, and what do you think you can take away from a performance in tonight?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm here, to get reps against good competition and with great coaching. I like to see everything come together. It's starting to starting to come together for me.
Starting to come together indeed, Drew. 2 hits, 2 runs driven in, 3 multi-hit games on the summer, and a lot of hits tonight in a 12-0 win. Thanks so much for joining us on Cooling Down.
Yep, of course.
Drew Farreau was absolutely fantastic. The entire offense was unbelievable. 17 hits on the game, 12 runs to show for it. Only 1 hit, meanwhile, for Harwich. Orleans finally snags a win against the Mariners for the first time in 5 tries this summer, and is now 1-4 this year against Harwich. Dylan, is there anybody you were most impressed with offensively? I mean, 5 guys with multiple hits, really hard to kind of pinpoint who needed this the most, maybe.
That's a great question. I actually have a name for you, and it's not a name that had multiple hits tonight. Owen Carpellotti had a double, and the score was out of question. The game was out of question when he had it, but it could really be big for him to build on with multiple games going on. He plays every other day with Henry Hunter. We'll see how Colin Tuft, adds into that as well. But I think him getting on the board with an extra base hit could be really big for kind of a streak for Carp that could really get him going. His numbers at Georgetown are great. He had a really good season over at being a Hoya. I think he could really get hot for this team.
Owen Carpellotti with a big run driven in tonight, his first extra base hit of the summer. We finish up Cooling Down here on the Birds Broadcast Network. And Dylan, I'll pose this question to you because why not? It's a fun game. It's a great night. I mean, it couldn't have gone much better for Orleans. You put up 12 runs with 17 hits. You shut them out on the other side for Harwich. There's some big powers in this league, right? We saw Couture absolutely smack and destroy Wareham tonight. We've seen Bourne. We've seen Falmouth. And in the East, YD stands atop. But if there's any reason that Orleans, late in the season, with this group of guys, a solidified group they're going to have the rest of the year, can make a run, why would it be?
Well, why can't it be? That's the question, right? Harwich is reeling, and I know there's a long way to go. I know there's going to be consistent roster changes and everything of the sort. But if we're looking at it right now, on what's the date today? The 13th of July, you got to think that Orleans is that number 2 team in the East in terms of contenders. I take him over Chatham easily. I take him over Brewster. They've dominated them, and Brewster doesn't exactly look like a great team right now, losing 6 in a row. And I take them over Harwich because of how bad Harwich is playing right now. Like you said, 8 losses in the last 11 games. They have played really good baseball. The Firebirds have, and they're starting to start a streak now, 2 in a row. They got a lot of big games coming up tomorrow. Of course, they play the Bourne Braves, a hot team that lost to Falmouth tonight, so they'll be hungry. Go to Wareham Saturday. You want that to be a win. So the schedule coming up where there's still 4 games until the next off day, and you want to just keep collecting those wins because the pitching has been really good for the Firebirds, and the offense looks like it's coming around. 4
shutout frames for Ivan Romero, 3 from Chase Hungate, and 2 more from Sam Laboki, setting up an absolutely dominant offensive performance, a 12-0 win for Orleans. Birds improved to 12-13, 2 wins in a row. Meanwhile, the Harwich Mariners dropped to 13-15 on the season. Orleans, like Dylan said, back at it tomorrow, 6:30, prime time, under the lights, Friday night, Eldridge Park. Where would you rather be? Either there or here on the Birds Broadcast Network. You can tune in at 6:15. Before we go, we got to thank our post-game sponsor, Mazzio Construction. Mazzio Construction, LLC worked hard to build a resume for itself. Let them put their knowledge, experience, and passion together to work for you. Their team is committed to exceed your expectations. New home, addition to existing home, renovation, they handle it all. They work close with their clients to make sure that all your needs are met. They're on time, honest with the schedule, and passionate about what they do. Give them a call. Let them introduce you to their work. Let's see how they can help you. Mazzio Construction, LLC. Firebirds finally take down the Mariners tonight for the first time in 5 tries and do so in a one-sided affair. 12-0, the final score from Whitehouse Field. For Dylan Pescatore, Sammy Miller, our producer Will Lundrigan, I'm Ian Nicholas. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow at 6:30 when the Bourne Braves come to town.